This could not have gone any worse. We are tired of tanking.
I like Jeremy Grant.
Would you take a flyer on Miles Bridges? The tailgate wins here with Chris Platty. What's going on, my guy?
Yes, sir, man. Happy to be here. Happy to be a part of this.
I am fired up to be a part of the heavyweights, first of all. Second of all, not fired up about this NBA draft lottery.
Yeah.
This could not have gone any worse for the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah. You're kidding. Literally could not have gone worse. You're guaranteed the 5th pick. But don't you think that the worst record, a team that won 17 fucking games, should have more than of a chance to get number one? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. You have a 47.8% chance of getting 5th and only a 14% chance of getting 1st.
Absolute bullshit. We were plus 100 to get the 5th pick, and just for the odds base, you put $10, you win $10. It was absolute horse. Speaking of the 5th pick, though, because that's what we do have to lock in on.
Yeah.
Any prospects that stand out to you? Because I know you are the basketball savant of the heavyweights.
Thank you.
What guys stand out to you?
Well, first of all, Cam Whitmore is the first standout because, you got to assume that Brandon Miller, there is talk. I would put like a 10 to 15% chance he ends up available at 4 or 5. But again, I don't want to put that out there because I really don't feel like there's a very strong possibility that he's available. I would love for him. He would be the no-brainer pick for me at 5 if he were available. But realistically speaking, I'm taking Scoot, Wemby, and Brandon Miller off the board. And so then, the 4th is, what's that going to be? Is it going to be one of the Thompson twins? Is it going to be somebody else? A lot of people that are projecting Cam Whitmore to go either 5th or 7th, maybe even as low as 9th. And I just don't get that. I mean, this dude is a stud. Like, when you look at his raw numbers jump out at the page, but mainly what it is he's just uber athletic. He's a high-level isolation scorer. He's 90th percentile in ISO scoring. So, I mean, he is one of he's in the top 10% of isolation scoring. So the dude is efficient, and this is his first year. And he had surgery on his shooting thumb. So, despite all that, he still had good numbers, and his numbers got better as the season progressed, which shows that he's even more capable than the 34% he was shooting, which was, again, mainly isolation-focused in shot creation. So you put this dude in a system with Cade and Ivy, again, 6'7", 6'11", wingspan. Dude is 18 years old right now. He was born after the Pistons won their last championship. He was born in July of 2004.
What a stat there, Chris.
Yeah, like the dude is young. He follows like the Jalen Duren type of mold, and at the end of the day, he's a guy that can be another high level scorer next to Cade and Ivy, and so you do like that a lot. But where I kind of draw the line is like there's the Cam Whitmore school of thought. And then there's the Anthony Black school of thought. Now, Anthony Black is a point guard, but to me, he's one of those guys that he'll play 1 through 3 because he's 6'11" with, I believe, also 6'11" wingspan as well.
And where was Anthony Black out of?
He was out of Arkansas.
Was he a top recruit coming out of high school as well?
Yes, and he's a point guard in Arkansas, which I know. Listen, Pistons fans don't want an air guard, but he's 6'7" with the 6'11" wingspan. So he can play any position 1 through 4 even. You can even put him as a small ball 4 in today's NBA. And that's kind of what he would be. I mean, the dude averaged 13 points a game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, but 2 steals. So showing great IQ on the defensive end and great hands. I like this guy because he does a little bit of everything. He's to me like the dot connector. You know what I mean? Like when I look at him, I see flashes of Nick Batum. I see flashes of Josh Giddey as his pro comp. I like more of a Nick Batum, Aaron Gordon type of mold, and I think that he can fit that very well. And I think that if you believe that you have 2 All-NBA players in Cade and Ivy, or All-NBA potential level players in Cade and Ivy, you don't need necessarily a Cam Whitmore. Now, he doesn't hurt, but what you need is a guy like Anthony Black that can be that kind of that 4th or 5th guy in your starting lineup. He would be probably the worst starter on a championship team, which is a very good player. You're talking like 5th best. So the dude would just make the plays. He could do a little bit of a pick and roll handling himself, maybe kind of give you some more flexibility, but has great passing vision, obviously. And he could be just that third or fourth playmaker next to Cade and Ivy. He could be the guy that kind of makes that Cade and Ivy will draw the double team or draw the help, but Anthony Black will make the final the pass to the pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you right here.
Cade gives it to Black, and then Black makes a read and turns it into a 2-on-1, and then turns it into a bucket. So there's questions about his shot. It looks a little shaky. There's questions about just his offensive feel in general, but I like this kid a lot, and I think he's one that would be damn good, and I don't think he's going to go top 5. I think he'll almost certainly be available for the Pistons at 5. So it depends on where you're at with Cade and Ivy.
So what I've gathered from that is Anthony Black is more of a glue guy that is a little less electric at number 5, kind of like fix everything all together, that kind of guy. What is the number one thing that stands out about why you would want him at 5 the most to you, Chris? The number one attribute, because it seems like you really like this guy, Anthony Black.
Yeah, I really like him, and it's honestly just his versatility to fit within anywhere. Like, I mean, the guy is going to be that guy that can, again, run screen and rolls with Cade, with Ivy, give you some weird things that can work. I mean, you're seeing it with Jokic. I mean, Denver's whole offense is inverted because their center's basically their point guard. But what that allows them to do is a lot of weird things. Like Jokic is the 5, and he's mostly guarded by the 5. And then he can run a screen and roll with Jamal Murray as a screener and switch it on that way, and switch the point guard onto the big, or the big onto the point guard that way. Or run 5-4 actions with Aaron Gordon, and Aaron Gordon, who's a traditional role man, and now you all of a sudden you're involving the 2 bigs, probably the 2 worst pick and roll defenders on the opposing team in a pick and roll. So that's what I like about him,
so
is just
like that it causes
the versatility
in matchups.
Yes, and I guess if I had to nail it down to one specific attribute to go to your question, it would be his hands, because 2 steals per game. You think about this team and what they have in Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren. They have some Ferraris, man. They have some electricity.
Ready to roll.
And that is you're generating transition plays for a team with Cade, Ivy, and Duren. I like that a lot for the Pistons. So gotcha. I like it. I lean right now Whitmore. Again, this is less than 24 hours after the draft.
Yep.
But I lean Whitmore, but I do like a guy like Anthony Black, and maybe you even roll the dice, and if you're Detroit, you trade back and get Anthony Black anyways, and get additional assets, or you trade back into the draft. If that guy's going to end up going 9 or 11, kind of the range he's projecting, maybe you kind of package up some things and do what you did with Jalen Duren and see if you can sneak back in and get Whitmore and Black. But I like Black a lot. I like his fit with the team.
I'm leaning Cam Whitmore just off rip. Like you said, 24 hours just for the pure athleticism on the wing is something that we haven't had in a long time.
Yep.
And to pair that with Ivy's athleticism, Jalen Duren's athleticism, to go with Cade's poise, I think that could be an elite combination. It's all disappointing because we wanted Wemby, so we are on to the next, though, especially coming from a season ticket holder. Those prices would have skyrocketed.
Yeah, man, you would have made a bag.
Would have made a bag off Wemby. The whole city would have made a bag off Wemby.
That's
all
true.
the bars down there, they deserve it. But sticking to hoops and sticking to this Pistons team, we are tired of tanking. There's no doubt about it. This city is tired of tanking, missed lotteries, every single draft. It's like the Christmas,
Yeah.
What can we do in free agency, your number 1, number 2 couple guys, to make us not in this position next year and to be right there for the play-in, not just a 30-win team? What can we do to make the play-in next year with this group of guys? What are your biggest free agent targets?
I think realistically you do have to do something in free agency, but the biggest attribute going forward for this team this season will be the return of Cade, as well as the progression of Ivy and Duren. Like, you have to assume that these guys get a lot better, and that Cade is a lot better than we've truthfully ever seen Cade Cunningham in the pros. So you combine those with the fact of getting a new coach that can bring in, that can add more spice to this team, add more flavor, give it more variance and more options. But as far as free agents go, this is a weak free agent class. But it has things that the Pistons need. The Pistons clearly, as we're talking about by the prospects we're scouting, you need 3-and-D wings. You need wings that can play either the 3 or the 4, and play next to Cade and Ivy and in between and next to Duren. Like, you need those 3 or 4. Like, Bogey is a great guy, but
he's a bucket.
He's a bucket, and you need him, and he's absolutely awesome for this team. Alec Burks, again, a bucket, but he's more of a guard. You need another wing that you can put next to Bogey. They thought they had that in Bay, but Bay just defensively wasn't it. Didn't work. So you need a higher level defensive wing. So that's why I like it. I like Jeremy Grant.
I'm
like
leaning
Kyle
on
Kuzma.
Grant here. I'm big on Grant.
I like Kyle Kuzma, and I also really do still like Chris Middleton if he becomes available with Milwaukee. I don't know. I assume that Milwaukee's going to be in a position where they just got their ass kicked in the first round. That shouldn't have happened. Anything's on the table for them. Maybe they look to move on from Middleton and they try to get cute and sign in trades or whatever. But the thing about this, why I say this free agency class is weak, but it has what the Pistons need, as the guys I highlighted, is that you can also just do what Troy did last season and go out and trade for guys who are under contract, but just use that cap space through trade rather than through free agency, because as we've seen, Detroit is not a free agent destination as of right now. I believe any team can be a free agent destination if you have the right stars.
Yep.
But
so you're thinking maybe go after a disgruntled star? Possibly.
It doesn't even
maybe
have
not even
to,
start
yeah,
like
it
a
doesn't even
lower,
have to be
lower
star,
tier,
but yes.
like tier 3.
But yeah, like a high level start. I mean, look at guys like he is a free agent, but if he weren't a free agent, a guy like Josh Hart, you know what I mean? Like, those are guys that would fit right in with Detroit and what they do, and that's a guy that, you know, is under contract and maybe he's only got a year left and the team doesn't want to pay him. That's cool. We'll take that. A guy I'm not crazy about, but an example of somebody that is under contract, like Tim Hardaway Jr. is a guy that Dallas is looking to make some money, make some moves. Okay, what do you want for Tim Hardaway? Basically nothing. Well, we weren't getting Kuzma because Kuzma re-signed with Washington and Grant re-signed with Portland and Middleton re-signed with Milwaukee, and all of a sudden there's really no good free agent left. So we'll give you a fucking second round pick for Hardaway. We'll basically just take the money just because, you know, this is a guy that we believe can help out our wing depth. And now again, that's not the most ideal fit guy, but but I would look at you know, acquiring using that salary cap through trade as well. Another free agent, Grant Williams, who had a really bad year in Boston this year. I'm kind of
jump off the page.
I'm kind of dicey, but 2 years, but the year before last, he played great in the
draining
playoffs.
corner threes like crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, he was balling. I think that was game 6 or 7 where he hit like 6 threes. I mean, the dude has had moments, and I'm not too crazy about him, but you know, that's the type of thing you're looking at. So with Detroit and Troy Weaver, man, like, he's shown that he has the ability to the understanding of flexibility. He's not just going to limit himself to this year's free agent crops. He's not going to limit himself to Cam Johnson's and whoever is available. He'll show interest in those players, but he'll also flirt on the open trade market. And I think a lot of teams are going to be making moves because at the end of the day, the new CBA is strongly punishing teams that are over the cap. And that's going to start rolling in the next couple years. And teams like Golden State, teams like Houston, right now, believe it or not, or sorry, not Houston, Dallas, are going to start being proactive about moving their salary,
shedding salary,
and shedding salary. So, you know,
so some key players could
we'll see.
become available that we are not thinking of currently.
Yeah, there will be a lot of movement. I really think that this offseason is going to have a lot more movement than people think. I think it's going to be both superstar level and that next level of like really good starter, not quite all stars. Like I think those type of players are available, and that's what Detroit needs. So we'll see.
For me, I think the biggest thing to start the season, this is what I alluded to it earlier a little bit, I would 100% bring Jeremy Grant back to the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
Start him at the 4 next to Duren. He's the perfect 4 next to Duren because Duren's going to eat up all the rebounds. I know that was one thing about Jeremy Grant that he never really was great at. But Duren, you know, you get somebody to space the floor. Jeremy Grant can cover those athletic 4s, you know, and Bogey won't have to worry about it as much.
Yeah.
Or you get to interchange them a little bit. So Cade, Ivy, Bogey, Grant, and Duren as your starters. Then off the bench, you got Killian, you got Alec Burks, you got the number 5 pick, Whitmore, who I really like, but this way you could ease them in a little bit. And then you go Wiseman at the 5.
Yeah, you still have have options too. Like you have 54 million in cap space realistically if you're Detroit. Maybe at worst case scenario 40 million. Jeremy Grant's going to cost you upper 20s to 30s. So that still leaves you some wiggle room to then go out and get, find yourselves the guys like Alec Burks who are making like 10 million who are on a 1-year deal, and you could get another role player or two that way. You could even flirt with, depending on how things play out. I mean, you could flirt with a Chris Paul. You could flirt with a Chris Paul if you want a more veteran guard. I don't
think he matches with these two guards here compared to the old school Suns when he came in.
Yeah, but it would just be like one of those like teaching moments where you're basically paying for a year of Cade and Ivy to study under one of the greatest basketball minds. So I wouldn't advise it. I would, again, obviously there's a clear hole on the wings. Yep. That's where you want to address. But there's options there too at guard that you can just trade. And Phoenix is again looking to dump salaries. So there's a lot of options for Detroit. And I think this is a defining offseason for Troy. He's got to hire the right coach. He's got to draft the right player, and he's got to make the right free agent moves, whether that's through free agency or through trade. He just has to nail this offseason because, like you said, this team is done tanking. They are not going to tank.
Can't do it
I promise you. Gores and all of them. The fans are one thing, but the ownership who cuts the bills and keeps the lights on for everybody, they do not want this team to be in the top lottery next year. They want this team to be in the play-in, showing real progress, hopefully even flirting with an actual playoff spot. Yeah,
no doubt about it. Before we wrap out of here, speaking of all these players and different scenarios that could take place, I'm going to throw one at you real quick.
Okay.
And it's just a yes or no. Would you take a flyer on Miles Bridges right now? Because this is the lowest of lows ever if you're going to get him. I know everything is just absolutely nuts right now.
Yeah, I would. I would because he's so much like funny when we talk about Cam Whitmore. Like when I see a player count, I see Miles Bridges with better shooting and less playmaking. So I see I see a very similar Miles Bridges version in Cam Whitmore. And I like the player Miles Bridges a lot. Obviously the off the field actions, Troy Weaver's shown that. But I would do it just because I think that you can get him at a cheap contract, and I think that wing spot is just so desperately void. Yep. I mean, you need multiple wings.
Yeah, we need to bring in the number 5 pick
Grant,
wing.
Yes, you need the number 5 pick wing. You need Grant, and you probably need Bridges. Like you need like a good at least 2, probably 3 good wings in your rotation. Yep. You got enough centers. Like we don't need to address the fucking center position.
Hell no. We need to cut like 3 of them.
You need to cut like 1 or 2 centers and then figure out like in the guard spot, if you want to bring in one veteran point guard, that's fine. But the guard room is pretty set as well. So, you definitely got to address those wings. So I would 100% take a shot on Miles Bridges because I think truthfully there's a lot of teams that are gonna be interested.
Try it. Yeah, no doubt about it.
I think so.
Well, this is the Tailgate Wins. My name's Nicholas Koloff.
Chris Platty of Woodward Sports and Woodward Heavyweights and Strictly Hip Hop, Strictly Hoop Talk, and The Wave. A lot of places.
Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you on the flip.
Peace.